Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the show where we turn complex strategy into, real knowledge that gives you a serious edge.
Exactly.
You, the learner, are looking for reliable funding for your nonprofit, and we get it. For so many organizations, grant proposal writing feels less like a strategy and more like a chaotic sprint right before the deadline.
That reactive state, that constant firefighting, that's exactly what undermines long-term success. And our mission today is to really dig into a different way of thinking.
Right. We've got sources that are unanimous on this. The secret isn't just better writing.
No, it's meticulous annual planning. It's a total system reboot.
We're going to show you how a proactive 12-month schedule can reduce stress, dramatically increase your success rate, and just fundamentally strengthen your whole grant program.
It's about moving away from that crisis management and into a system where funding is actually predictable. You're building a professional program, not just hunting for money.
And if you're ready to just jump in and start implementing these ideas, you should definitely explore the resources we're talking about today. You can find all the educational videos and a lot more on grant proposal writing at grants.courses.
It's a fantastic starting point.
Okay, so let's unpack this. For an organization to get to that level of, predictable success, what are the two absolute must-haves?
The research is really clear here. You can't just wing it with a calendar. There are two things. First, you need a dedicated grant planning document for each proposal.
For each one, not just a general plan.
For each one, it forces you to customize. And second, you need that big picture. A comprehensive 12-month schedule of every single grant you plan to go after for the entire year. These two things, they stop you from operating blind.
Okay, but that sounds like a massive amount of upfront work.
Yeah.
I can hear people listening now, from a small nonprofit, totally burned out, thinking, how can we possibly find the time?
And that's the big question, isn't it? The payoff is almost immediate, and it's twofold. The first piece is what the sources call strategic alignment. Okay. When you plan over a full year, you're not just randomly shooting off proposals whenever you find one. You are meticulously timing your submissions to line up with when funders are actually making decisions on their big initiatives.
So you're not just knocking on a door hoping someone's home. You're showing up exactly when they're ready to listen.
Precisely. You align your submission with their specific grant cycle. Your proposal lands on their desk when they are ready to fund your kind of mission, not 6 months too early or, 3 weeks too late. It's just smart.
And this is where it gets really interesting for anyone who's ever had to manage a nonprofit budget. Creating a reliable revenue stream.
Yes.
I mean, stability is everything, right? And chaotic cash flow is it's the enemy.
It is. And that stability is the hallmark of a nonprofit that's built to last. Think about it. Most organizations send out, 80% of their proposals in a couple of key seasons?
Right, the spring and fall rush.
Exactly. And that creates this feast or famine cycle. You get a big chunk of money in one quarter, and then you spend the rest of the year just holding your breath, maybe even cutting back on programs while you wait.
But the 12-month plan completely smooths that out.
It does. By staggering your proposals, by making sure you have at least 1 or 2 major submissions due every single quarter, you guarantee a much more even, predictable flow of cash all year long.
And that lets you actually run your programs without constant worry.
It's invaluable. It's budget certainty.
Okay, let's switch gears to the internal side of things. Beyond the money, the sources really make a strong case for how this kind of planning reduces the internal trauma of grant writing.
Oh, absolutely. This is about resource management. Once you have that 12-month schedule, your team members know their roles and their deadlines way in advance.
So it's not the Friday afternoon scramble for 5 case studies by Monday morning.
Exactly. They know 90 days out that they're on the hook for certain pieces. That clarity alone, it's the total opposite of the usual grant scramble. It practically eliminates that proposal-induced stress.
And you're allocating resources like staff time or data collection strategically, not just reactively.
Right, which frees people up to do their actual jobs, to think bigger instead of just being in a constant fire drill.
And I have to assume if everyone has more time and less stress, the quality of the actual proposal goes way up.
Oh, it's night and day. It's the difference between sending a generic form letter and sending a truly customized business plan. You have time for ongoing revision, for feedback, for real refinement.
So you're not just using boilerplate language.
Never. You're fine-tuning every single word to match that specific funder's language, their interests, their stated requirements. You're essentially speaking their dialect.
And that has to directly increase your chances of getting funded.
It shows you've done your homework. It shows you respect them enough to tailor your project directly to their priorities. It's a game changer.
I want to talk about risk mitigation, because that feels like a powerful kind of hidden benefit here.
It's huge, and it's something people don't often connect to grant writing. But a good plan gives you a vital head start on dealing with the disruptions that, let's be honest, are always happening in the nonprofit world.
Like, what, for instance, give me an example of how the plan helps.
Okay, so let's say a major foundation suddenly announces a shift in their focus, or new federal reporting requirements just drop out of nowhere mid-year.
Right, that happens.
The team that's operating reactively has zero room to breathe. They panic. But the team with the 12-month plan, they look at their calendar and see they have 10 weeks before that next big submission is due.
So they have time.
They have time to process the changes, find alternative funders, adjust the project narrative, all without a full-blown crisis. The flexibility is already built into the system.
That's just being professional. Okay, so this planning also reaches outside the organization, right? Back to those crucial funder relationships.
Yes, improved relationships with funders. This is key. The plan allows you to actually budget time to nourish those relationships, to move beyond just asking for things.
So you're planning for contacts that aren't just about asking for money.
Exactly. You schedule regular, non-solicitation check-ins throughout the year. You keep your funders past, present, and potential in the loop on your progress and your impact. You're demonstrating your effectiveness all year long, so you're building trust.
You're proving you're a good investment long before you ask for the next one.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get into the what. The specific tools and tactics the sources say you actually need to use.
Right, this is where we get really practical. And it all starts with just laser-like clarity. Dr. Bev Browning, who's a huge name in this space, she really emphasizes this tight connection between your project goals, your SMART objectives, and your grant research keywords.
Hold on, let's quickly clarify that for listeners. What makes an objective SMART?
Right. So SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. By forcing every objective to meet all 5 criteria before you even start writing, you kill any vague promises.
So you know exactly what you're asking for and how you'll prove you did it.
Which is precisely what funders want to see.
Yeah.
And that discipline immediately flows over into the financial side of things. The sources stress how important it is to be managing request amounts for multiple grant applications.
You don't want to accidentally double dip.
That is a massive red flag for funders. A good plan prevents that. It also helps you avoid common, easy-to-fix budget errors, like, not matching your indirect costs to what the funder allows. The details can sink you.
Which brings up a big question. With so many grants out there, how do you even decide which ones to pursue? You can't chase everything.
You can't. And that's where you have to replace gut feelings with a discipline system. The research points to tools like a decision matrix. Stacey Fitzsimmons talks a lot about this.
A decision matrix, how does that work?
Basically, you score potential grants against a few key factors that you've weighted. Things like, how well does it align with our mission? Do we have the capacity to actually pull this off? And what's the real likelihood of success based on their history?
So you only invest your limited time in the opportunities that score the highest?
Exactly. It's strategic.
It's pretty clear that grant planning is evolving way beyond just, putting deadlines on a calendar.
Oh, absolutely. This is about scaling up. We're seeing courses on going from zero to hero with your grant strategy. This isn't about survival anymore. It's about maximizing your impact.
And what I found really validating was seeing frameworks borrowed from hyper-efficient fields like project management. The sources mention Scrum and Agile. Are they really suggesting we use software development techniques for grant writing?
They are. And it shows how serious and structured this is becoming. The materials talk about implementing Scrum as a grant professional. Scrum is a framework where you break that giant, scary grant task into small, timed chunks called sprints.
So instead of a vague 3-month writing deadline, you'd have a 1-week sprint to finalize the logic model.
Yes. And then another sprint to get all your partner sign-off letters. It brings discipline, accountability, and regular check-ins. It just ensures these complex projects get managed efficiently. We also see references to the FR model strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results.
Which sounds much more positive and vision-driven.
It is. It frames the grant around a positive vision, not just a problem you're trying to fix.
That's a powerful synthesis. Adopting these formal frameworks, it basically guarantees a higher level of professional discipline in your process.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. thoughtful, 12-month planning. It lets a nonprofit create those strategic alignments, use its resources wisely, and most importantly, build a predictable revenue stream. It turns grant seeking from an exhausting lottery into a reliable system.
So what does this all mean? It means that rushed, panicked grant writing it's a choice. It's entirely optional.
Success stops being about luck. It becomes about methodology and discipline.
Right. And that leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. Given that grant success really hinges on these clear planning systems, how drastically would the quality of your organization's proposals increase if you actually implemented a formal framework like Scrum or the SR model into your next 12-month cycle?
It's a powerful question.
It is. And for those of you who are ready to start building that methodical approach, we really encourage you to visit grants.courses. They have educational videos, specific resources like the Grant Calendar Action Guide, and great info on building your annual grant strategy. Go check them out and make planning your superpower this year.